So in this video, we're going to be talking about two-step equations. So they're called two-step equations because we need to do, well, two things to the equation before we can solve for a variable. So you notice in these equations, we have a variable, we have an unknown, and what we're going to do is we're going to find what value that variable is. So if you take a look at the first one, we have 4a plus 3 equals 11. So 4 times some number, but then when you add 3, it equals 11. So what I want to encourage you guys to do is think about order of operations. So we have PEMDAS. So if we were just evaluating some expressions with some numbers without variables, you'd just use PEMDAS. You'd use parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, and addition and subtraction. Now, when you're doing these equations, what you're actually going to do is go backwards. So it's sort of like you're unwrapping the equation. So if we look at this one here, you might say to yourself, well, what I can do to get rid of that 4 is divide by 4, and what I can do to get rid of that 3 is subtract 3. Well, which one should I do first? We're actually going to work backwards. We're going to start here, the addition and subtraction, and then work our way to the multiplication, division, exponents, and parentheses, and all that stuff. But with these equations, we just have to worry about addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So let's take care of that positive 3, and let's subtract 3 on both sides. So take care of this number first. So these 3 is going to cancel. I have a 4a on the left side. 11 minus 3 will give me an 8. And now what we have here is just like a one-step equation. So we'll just divide by 4 on both sides. I have a equals 2. Likewise for this one, let's take care of this guy first, the negative 1. Let's add 1 on both sides. So just like what we did in the other equation. Those will cancel. We'll have a 3r equals 9. And to get r by itself, we need to divide by 3. So r will equal 3. So looking at a couple more examples, and they're pretty much just like the ones we just did, but they're a little switched around. So if you notice on the first equation, we have 17 equals 6h minus 7. You want to isolate that variable, get the variable by itself. So we're looking on the right side. So should I divide by 6 or get rid of that negative 7 by adding 7? Well, let's add 7 on both sides. So always take care of that number first. So 17 plus 7 will give me a 24. And that equals 6h on the right side. To get h by itself, let's divide by 6. So 24 divided by 6 will give me a 4. That equals h. So h will equal 4 for that one. The next one here, I want to get rid of the 6 first. So I'm going to subtract 6 on both sides. So 10 minus 6 will give me a 4. The 6's will cancel out. 4 equals negative 2x. To get x by itself, I got to divide by a negative 2. So 4 divided by negative 2 will give me a negative 2. That equals x. So x equals negative 2. So a few more examples of two-step equations. These ones, we have a variable being divided by a number, and then we're either adding or subtracting a number to it. So let's take a look at the first one. We have x divided by 8 plus 4 equals 6. So some number divided by 8 plus 4 will give me a 6. So to isolate the variable, we have to get rid of the 8 and the 4 here. So it's just like what we were doing on the previous examples. I got to take care of that positive 4 first. So let's subtract 4 on both sides. So these will cancel. On the left side, I have x divided by 8. And that equals 6 minus 4 will give me a 2. And then to get x by itself, I have to multiply by 8 on both sides. The 8's will cancel. I have x equals 16 for that one. On the next one, we have to take care of the minus 3. Let's add 3 on both sides. So I have just b minus 3 on the left side, and that equals 5. And then to get b by itself, I need to multiply by 3 on both sides. So that these 3's will cancel. I have a b on the left side, and that equals 15. Just a few more like this, just a little switched around. For this one here, to solve for x, I need to subtract 2 on both sides. So the 2's will cancel. I have a 5 equals x over 4. And to get x by itself, let's multiply by 4 on both sides. 4's will cancel. I have 20 equals x, or just x equals 20. The next one, isolate the variable. I need to take care of the negative 4 first, so let's add 4 on both sides. Those will cancel. I have a negative 2 here equals x divided by 3. Getting x by itself, let's multiply by 3. I have a negative 6 equals x, or x equals negative 6. So the last type of problem that I'm going to look at looks something like this. So we have, it's kind of like those distributing problems that I talked about on a previous video. So we have 3 times the quantity x plus 2 equals 9 for the first one. So I got to look at some number plus 2 when I do that first, and then multiply it by 3, that equals 9. So what we're going to do for these problems to kind of unwrap the stuff on the left side is take care of the number on the outside first. And all we need to do there is just divide by whatever number that is. So since this one's a 3, I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. So let me erase this line here. We're going to divide by 3 on both sides. So it seems a little complicated, but it's really not too bad. So what's going to happen is this 3 and this 3 are going to cross out. All I have on the left side is an x plus 2. I don't really need those parentheses anymore. Parentheses will just scribble out. And that equals 9 divided by 3 will give me a 3. And now this is just like a one-step equation. So subtract 2 on both sides. So x is going to equal a 1. For the next one here, take care of this number in front. So we need to divide by 4 on both sides. 4's will cancel. We don't need the parentheses anymore. I have x minus 2 equals 4. And we add 2 on both sides to get the x by itself. So x is going to equal 6 for that one. And the last 3 problems I'm going to do. This next problem here, just a little switch around from the previous slide. But we have to take care of that 5, so let's divide by 5 on both sides. 5's will cancel. I have 10 divided by 5 will give me a 2, and that equals x plus 2. The parentheses can just drop out. And then let's subtract 2 on both sides. So those cancel. I have 0 on the left side, and that equals x. X equals 0 for that one. And the last one, take care of the 8. Let's divide by 8 on both sides. The 8's will cancel. I have x plus 3 on the right side, 2 on the left side. Subtract 3 from both sides. I have a negative 1, and that equals x, or x equals negative 1.